This is my brand new home office. After almost 2 years in the making, it's finally finished. And today I'm giving you the full tour. So I bought a house almost a year ago, like 8 months ago we moved in, but we purchased the home like almost 2 years ago. I knew I wanted to create a spot where I can make videos like this. I can run my business. I do video production full time. So I needed a room where I can handle all aspects of my professional life. It took a while for me to finally just piece together where everything fit properly. And ultimately, this is kind of where it all landed. So I couldn't be more excited to share with you all how this space looks today. Let's get right into it, starting with the desk setup. So for this desk setup, there are two main parts. There's obviously the main desk. This is a 60-inch by 25-inch desk. And to the left of that is this detached, smaller L-shaped desk. This is a 48-inch by 25-inch desk. These are both butcher block countertops that I got from Lowe's, and I sanded them down, cut them to size, and added a bit of clear coat to these. They're very rugged, they feel sturdy, and I absolutely love how they look here. The reason I have this desk here that's kind of detached, this is used as like a flex desk. So right now I'm using it to film this talking head, but I can also move it around and move it to the backdrop behind me, and now I have a spot to do gear reviews or any other types of videos. This isn't planted here. This has casters on it so I can move it around. Both of these countertops are setting on standing desk legs that I already had, so I just repurposed them. The desk shelf, same situation. I had a previous desk shelf and I just took the top off of that, repurposed the stands that came with it, and cut down another piece of this butcher block that I had laying around. So now I have a completely matching setup. Now let's move up to arguably my favorite thing of this desk, the monitor. This is my new monitor, and this is the Dell UltraSharp U4025QW 40-inch 5K ultra-wide curved display. This thing's amazing. This display looks absolutely incredible. Not only is this a 40-inch ultra-wide monitor, it's 5K resolution, it has an IPS black display, which means a 2000:1 contrast ratio over your typical 1200:1 contrast ratio with other IPS panels. It also has Thunderbolt 4, so in theory, you could daisy chain another monitor off of this. However, there's really no need to, because it's a 40-inch ultra-wide monitor. It also has a refresh rate of 120 Hz, so that may be beneficial if you need to utilize higher frame rates. I personally don't really have a need for this most of the time, and also, if I'm ever gaming on my computer, I'm literally only playing old school RuneScape. It's cool to have it, something to consider if you need a monitor for video editing, productivity, but also want a little bit of gaming, and you can get away with 120 Hz. Now it's massive, so I picked up this heavy duty monitor arm. Highly recommend it if you are going with a heavier monitor like this. For the computer, I'm running my MacBook Pro M1 Pro. This is the 2021 model. That is plugged into the Anker Prime Thunderbolt 5 dock. This just helps me plug everything into one central unit, and it can power everything. And it also allows me to have some ports on the front, SD card readers on the side so I can dump cards quickly. And it's a small footprint, so it doesn't take up too much space on the desk. Down here we have my Apple Magic Keyboard and my Logitech Master 3 mouse. Still using these, still works great. I got this Amazon desk mat recently, and I'm incredibly impressed with how it looks and feels. It's very high quality. Moving up here, we have these studio speakers. This is a big upgrade I made this year. So I have the Atom Audio T5V 5-inch studio monitors, and then I have these desk mounted stands that just keep them off the desk and at ear level. Below me, I have the Atom 10-inch subwoofer. This was absolutely unnecessary for me, but I really wanted just awesome sounding audio when I'm listening to music in this room, and this thing just is freaking insane how loud it gets. So I actually put this foot pedal here so I can just tap it on and off whenever I want the sub or when I want to turn it off. It's really nice to have because late at night I sometimes don't want this thing on. As you can see behind me, I have some acoustic panels on the wall. That's because I went through an entire wormhole of trying to properly sound treat this room once I got these, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into what I did here later in the video, so be sure to stick around. To my left here, OWC Thunderbay 8 48 terabyte hard drive. In the desk shelf, I just have a little bit of storage, some card readers, some hard drives. I try to keep this neat and clean so it doesn't get too cluttered. And then behind the desk shelf, I have a Philips Hue light strip, which just gives a nice ambient light behind the desk, especially at night. I'll talk more about the lighting of this entire studio later in the video. For the desk chair, this is the Autonomous Ergo Pro. I've had this for years. It's a fine desk chair. I would love to upgrade it to like a Herman Miller in the future, but I kind of blew the budget on everything else. Moving down below, we have the cable management. I love to use these Vivo trays kind of in the front portion of the desk, and it just hides everything behind it. When you move below, you can see everything hiding behind it. I have this surge protector that's just mounted to the desk. All of that runs down the left side of this desk into this battery backup. Behind the desk, I have the window with a SmartWing motorized shade on it. It has a rechargeable battery in it, which I charge maybe once every few months. I've yet to run out of battery when I needed to open or close it. That pretty much covers the entire desk setup. If you're enjoying everything you see so far, be sure to like this video right now and consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's talk about the filming setup and lighting. So something I really wanted in this new space is a streamlined setup for filming YouTube videos and content online. I've always had a dream of having a pre-lit studio that I can just turn on and start filming, so that's why I created this whole area. I just released a full video talking in detail what I did here, so be sure to check that out, but let me just run you through real quick what I added. So these are varipoles from Impact. I used 2 of these in the room, and they just create a vertical pole that I can mount whatever I want to it. Over here I have the key light, my monitor, and the boom mic all mounted to one pole, and it's tucked away against the wall, doesn't take up too much space. Behind me I have another varipole with my edge light, and that is an Amaran 300C with a Fresnel on it. These poles are awesome, especially if you're just renting your home, because they're not going to damage anything. I do own my home, so I do have a more permanent light setup that's back here. This is an Amaran F22C. That's mounted on a 1x2 board with a wall-mounted baby pin, and then I have a grip head and a grip arm from a C-stand. All of this is preset so that I don't have to touch anything. All I do is I go on my phone onto the Amaran app, and I can turn off, turn on, adjust everything I want. I can adjust all the colors and really dial in how I want the scene to look without having to go to each light and waste time setting up. Those are the main 3 lights that I use when I'm shooting these videos, as well as that pavo tube behind me, which is just a practical light that gives a little bit of flair to the scene. Again, be sure to check out the full video where I talk in depth more about this setup. The accent wall obviously is for decorative purposes, but it also has a practical use. Since all of my talking head stuff is here, this acts as just a way to knock down light off of my face, and then I can control that light with the actual studio setup. Since the rest of the room is white just reflects light, and I didn't want to have no control over my lighting when I'm filming these, so this obviously helps a ton for that. And it also looks cool. Now when it comes to just the lighting in the office, that's a little different. I have this lamp over here with a Philips Hue bulb in it. I have the Philips Hue play bars in this cabinet, and then I have the Philips Hue light strip on the desk. All of this just creates a nice soft office lighting, so when I'm not filming videos, I usually just have these lights on, and it looks great. Now let's talk about my filming setup. I wanted to leave a decent amount of space in between the wall and this desk so I can fit stuff behind it. So I have my tripod with my camera here. I'm recording on the Canon C80 for this. And then I have the OC Megamon 15-inch monitor. This is just so I can see everything, make sure it's lit properly. And above me, I have a boom mic mounted to the varipole as well. And then I have the podcast mic. This is the Shure SM7B, which sounds amazing. Sometimes I shoot videos using this, but for the sake of this video, I'm just using an overhead mic. For mounting all of this, I'm using a collection of Manfrotto magic arms, small rig Mayfer clamps, Cardellini clamps, and a cradle for the boom pole. I'll be sure to leave a link to all of this in the description. Now let's move on to some of the decorations in this place, starting with the sound isolation panels. When I got these studio monitors, I went down a whole rabbit hole of sound treating this office to sound a little bit better, not only for listening to music, but also when I'm doing these talking head videos. I custom built 6 16 by 47 inch panels. Weird dimension, I know. I built these by using 1x2 board, Rockwool Safe and Sound insulation, and this acoustic fabric that I got on Amazon. Shout out to Fix This Build That on YouTube. He made a very easy to follow along video that I used to make these panels. Above me I have 2 of them mounted to the ceiling, and then to the left and right of me I have 2 of them mounted kind of at ear level, and then behind the speakers are 2-inch thick sound panels, which honestly I just didn't know what to do with these walls, so I figured let's just use these because I already have them. I definitely noticed a big difference listening to music and also these talking head videos when I put these in. Literally right behind the camera, I'm maybe 3 feet from 2 of those panels, and so that really helps with talking to camera because my voice is going into those panels and kind of dampening as opposed to like just bouncing all over the place. Now, for you audiophiles who are just probably rolling around right now because you see behind me, I have no sound treatment, no bass traps, no nothing. I'm fine with that. Again, this is just kind of like, I already did more than I needed to, but I wanted it just to sound as best as I could. Right behind me is the gear storage for most of my camera gear. This is a Husky Workbench. You've seen these in a ton of videos. This is such a solid, honestly, cheat code for filmmakers to keep all of their gear organized. This gear is not organized. I will say it absolutely looks terrible right now, and I wasn't going to organize it just for this video because this is just how I live. It's really bad. The TV above it is an LG OLED C1. I've had this for a couple years now. And 5 years later or 4 years later, the panel is still incredible. I absolutely love the way an OLED television looks. Pretty much 99% of the time I'm using this TV, it's just to have a podcast or something on in the background. For the audio, I'm using a Vizio soundbar with 5.1 surround sound. Again, not really necessary for watching YouTube videos, but I have them. Now let's move directly behind us. Right here behind me, I have a wall-mounted paper backdrop system, so I can use different color, seamless backdrop papers for just different types of filming. The plan is to mainly use this for like unboxings and gear reviews, or anytime I want to just, switch up the setup a little bit. I can move the desk over in front of me and do all of my unboxings or whatever right here. I also have the Amaran F22C mounted overhead, so the backdrop's always lit. I have this nice kind of top-down overhead light. It fills up the wall perfectly without taking up too much space, which I wanted to make sure since this is right where you enter into the office. And what I'm sitting on here is just a garage stool that I got. I figured it would be great to have around this office because I can just wheel it around wherever I want. And speaking of random utility items that I have in the space, I also have this telescoping ladder, which I call the Casey Neistat Special. This is a ladder that he showcased in his daily vlogs back in the day. My ceilings are pretty tall, they're 10 feet, and I have a lot of stuff mounted to the ceilings or high up. So it's really nice to be able to access all of these areas. This thing just kind of tucks away on the side. I never have to see it. The cabinet system here is the IVAR cabinets from Ikea. Build quality, terrible. It's one of the most thin pieces of metal I've ever used, but for looks, it's perfect. I just have 2 of them side by side. I have an old Canon camera, old lens, some old tour laminates from some of the music tours I've been on in the past. On the left side, I have some books. Down at the bottom, I have just hard drive storage, which is really the only functional thing that I'm using here. On top, I just wanted to keep it clean, but kind of dress it up in a nice way. Over here, this is my GlideCam HD 2000. This thing was pretty much like the tool that helped build my career. A couple cool books, some things I have, some things I don't, like a Rolex, but I think the book looks cool. This lamp from Amazon, I just randomly saw and thought it was really awesome looking. Above that is a photo from the first show of the 2023 Luke Combs Stadium Tour. And I took this photo as kind of a way to remember what I was getting myself into. That ended up being, 3 years of touring stadiums with Luke Combs. Above that, this random floating shelf with an old film camera, and a real piece of relic here is the Final Cut Studio box. I have obviously the acoustic panels, and then in between that is a Pavo tube from Nanlite. Up here, I didn't really know what to do, but I didn't want to leave the space blank because there's so much empty wall space here. So I ended up just printing a bunch of photos that I've taken through the years and put them up there as kind of the perfect spot for them. This rug is from a company called Inked Rugs, and it was definitely a late night Instagram ad impulse buy. It just fills up this empty space a little bit. I think it looks cool, and it fits well with the vibe of the studio overall. So yeah, that is everything in the space and how it looks so far. I'm incredibly happy with how it all turned out. This is a studio space that I've dreamed of having for years and years. To be able to own a home doing this stuff full time is an absolute dream. And to be able to build this out and make content around it is just the icing on the cake. So I appreciate you all so much for watching this video. I'm so excited to finally put this out. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next one. Later.